Father Miguel sat alone in his dimly lit office, the faint hum of the monitors filling the silence around him. Ever since a string of burglaries had shaken the parish, he had made it his nightly ritual to review footage from newly installed hidden cameras, hoping to spot anything suspicious. Night after night, the screens showed nothing but empty hallways, shifting shadows, and the occasional flicker of a faulty light. Tonight seemed no different, until it wasn't. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared on the screen, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Miguel's breath caught as he recognized the man. The cardinal moved with an air of caution, seemingly unaware of the camera's presence. What he did next would leave Miguel questioning everything. The events leading to this moment had begun 2 weeks earlier. The parish had been a hive of activity, buzzing with anticipation for the arrival of Cardinal Tagle. News of his visit spread quickly through the town, and the community rallied to prepare for the occasion. Families arrived at the church hours early, filling the pews and spilling into the courtyard, eager to see the man whose reputation for compassion, humility, and unwavering dedication to the faith had made him beloved far beyond the church walls. Father Miguel, standing by the main entrance, adjusted his collar nervously. Though he had met Cardinal Tagle before, the weight of this visit felt different. The cardinal's presence carried an aura that inspired both reverence and awe. As a sleek black car rolled into the gravel driveway, Miguel stepped forward, his palms clammy despite the crisp evening breeze. When the cardinal stepped out of the car, his warm smile and slight bow immediately put those gathered at ease. "Your Eminence," Miguel greeted, bowing deeply. Tagle's demeanor was gracious and serene, his very presence seeming to lift the spirits of the parishioners. In a community weighed down by recent troubles, his arrival felt like a balm, renewing a sense of hope and unity among the people. Inside the church, the cardinal moved through the crowd with ease, shaking hands, offering blessings, and engaging each person with genuine interest. Miguel observed from a distance, marveling at the man's charisma and humility. Despite his high rank within the church, Tagle carried himself with the modesty of a simple servant. Yet, amidst the warmth and reverence of the evening, Miguel noticed something peculiar. Clara, the church housekeeper, stood in the shadows near the sacristy. Usually quiet and composed, she seemed unusually tense, her hands tightly clasped together. Her gaze flickered repeatedly toward the cardinal, as if she were waiting for the right moment to act. When Tagle finally approached her, Clara stepped forward and whispered something to him. Miguel couldn't hear what she said, but he saw the cardinal nod in acknowledgement, his expression calm and unreadable. Without another word, Clara turned and left the room, her pale face betraying an emotion Miguel couldn't quite identify. The brief interaction unsettled Miguel. Clara's unusual behavior, especially in the presence of someone as revered as Cardinal Tagle, gnawed at his thoughts. Though he tried to brush it off as nervousness from the day's significance, a sense of unease lingered. Later that night, as Miguel prepared for bed, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Groggy and disoriented, he reached for it. The caller ID displayed the name of the security company overseeing the church's cameras. His stomach sank. After weeks of uneventful monitoring, a late-night call could only mean trouble. "Father Miguel, we detected unusual activity on the church premises," the operator said. "You may want to review the footage from CCR3 near the East Corridor." Miguel's heart raced as he dressed quickly and made his way to the small office housing the security monitors. The church was eerily quiet, its darkened corridors illuminated only by the faint glow of moonlight streaming through stained glass windows. Seated before the monitors, Miguel navigated to the footage in question. At first, the screen showed nothing out of the ordinary, empty hallways, locked doors, and the stillness of the late hour. But as the timestamp crept past 11 p.m., a figure emerged from the shadows. Miguel's breath hitched. It was Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. The cardinal moved with purpose, his steps deliberate yet cautious. He paused occasionally to glance over his shoulder, scanning his surroundings as if ensuring he was alone. Miguel leaned closer to the screen, his pulse quickening. What could the cardinal be doing at such an hour? The footage grew more troubling. The cardinal approached Clara's quarters, his movements measured and intentional. He paused outside her door, his hand hovering over the doorknob. Again, he glanced down the hallway, his wary eyes betraying an unusual tension. Satisfied he was unobserved, he turned the knob and slipped into the room. Miguel froze, his mind racing to process what he had just seen. The sight of such a respected figure moving so covertly sent a wave of doubt and confusion crashing over him. His initial instinct was to dismiss it, surely there was an innocent explanation. But the secrecy, the glances over his shoulder, and the late hour all painted a troubling picture. Miguel replayed the footage, scrutinizing every detail. The cardinal's behavior seemed calculated, almost methodical, as if he were carrying out a carefully planned act. Miguel's chest tightened. What could he be doing in Clara's room, he murmured aloud. Dark possibilities began to creep into his thoughts, clinging stubbornly despite his efforts to push them away. The weight of what he had seen and the implications it carried gnawed at him, leaving him with more questions than answers. As the hours ticked by, Miguel's unease deepened, the flickering glow of the monitors casting shadows of doubt across his troubled mind. He resolved to tread carefully, deciding to gather more information before making any decisions. Yet deep within him, a gnawing unease remained, a feeling he couldn't shake. A quiet warning that what he had seen was only the beginning of something far more complex than he could yet understand. Morning arrived, but the warmth of the sun did little to dispel the cold tension that had settled over the parish. The usual hum of early prayers and greetings was replaced by hushed whispers and furtive glances. Somehow, despite Miguel's hopes to contain the matter, word of the cardinal's nocturnal movements had seeped into the congregation's gossip. That evening, Miguel found himself back in the small office, seated before the glow of the monitor. His hands trembled slightly as he replayed the footage from the previous nights, frame by frame. The same unsettling pattern emerged: Cardinal Tagle, a man revered for his humility and devotion, leaving his quarters late at night, walking purposefully through the church corridors, and pausing briefly before entering Clara's room. Each visit lasted over an hour, sometimes two, before the cardinal returned to his quarters. One particular frame made Miguel's breath catch, the cardinal beckoning Clara toward him. Her posture was tense as she approached, and Miguel noted the way her shoulders hunched, as if shielding herself from unseen eyes. When she finally left the room, her eyes were rimmed with red, as though she had been crying. Miguel wrestled with his conscience. To confront Cardinal Tagle would mean risking everything: his position, his reputation, and potentially the stability of the church itself. But to remain silent felt equally wrong. How could he, as a man of faith, turn a blind eye to something so troubling? With a deep breath, Miguel knocked on the cardinal's door. It opened almost immediately, and there stood Cardinal Tagle, his calm and composed demeanor unchanged. "Father Miguel," he said, his tone measured. "What brings you here at this hour?" As Miguel hesitated, Tagle gestured for him to sit. Then, with quiet wisdom, the cardinal revealed the truth: Clara had been struggling with severe depression, seeking guidance in secrecy to protect her dignity. Miguel felt the weight of his own assumptions crashing down. As he left the cardinal's quarters, he resolved to carry this lesson forward, to temper judgment with understanding and approach future challenges with both caution and compassion.